Let's start with question number 5. Factorize completely. Again, I'm first going to take you to the textbook. Let's see, question number 5. Okay, and you will find this in the y equals mx+c mathematics textbook, grade 10, 11 on page 100. And the example I'm going to look is, I'm going to look at this factorization, a common factor. But before I come back to this common factor, I first want to show you a summary. Okay, no, I think let's do the common factor. Then I'm going to show you the summary and then I go back to the question. Okay, so factorization, there is 4. Now the first one is the common factor. Okay, which is the basic one, is the one that you did also in grade 9 or yes, grade 9. So if you look at this, so it's write the coefficients of the terms as prime factors, then found out which factors are common. Okay, take only the bases that occur in both terms and take the one with the smallest index. So 2 is in both, the smallest is 3. 3 is not in both, so it will be 8. This is very important, and somewhere in the question paper, and I took you to the grade 8 or 9 textbook, because that is also highest, that's for the numbers. Okay, now the same actually with the bases, which in this case is a's and b's. So is there an a in both? Yes. What is the smallest exponent? 2. Is there a b in both? Yes. What is the smallest exponent? 1. So it's a to b, and that's why I got this. And then don't forget, I just take this and I divide, and I take this and I divide. So I take the term and I divide by the highest common factor. Take the term, divide. I just showed you, don't have to show that. And then I just write the answer. Okay. So the expression has 2 terms. After being factorized, it has 1 term. This is very important for simplifying. So there was 2 terms, but now it's only as 1 term. Okay. Now let's go first back to the question, and then before the second question, I will take you again to the textbook to show you the different type of factorizations. Okay, so let's go back. Here's the question paper. Here's my question. Now it's the next one. I just want to go a little bit lower. Okay, so this was a very, very easy one. Do you agree? After you saw a little bit more difficult. So I can make it just a bit bigger so that you can see nice on the video. So let's start. This is 2. It's not m or n is not repeating. So it's just 2. So this will be 2m plus n. They really just test if you can factorize. So it must be exactly like this for you to score that 1 mark. Okay. Now I'm going to take you back to the textbook to show you the summary, and then I go to grouping, because there was just 2 terms, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and they still say the word factorize. Okay, so let's just go to the textbook. I'm first going to take you there. And the reason I want to show you where you will find this. You will find it on page 108. And it is still in chapter 3 because this is expressions now. There's no equal sign. But I want to show you this summary. So factorize when to use which one. If it's 2 terms, you will try for a common factor or the difference between 2 squared, or and. If it's 3 terms, a common factor or and a quadratic expression, trinomial. But if it's 4 or more terms, a common factor and or grouping. Now, if you remember the question paper, it was 4 terms. So I can try a common factor to see, but usually it's part of grouping. But I will go to grouping. And I want to show you, I want to refresh your memory there with grouping. And this is what I did there. And this you will find on page 102. Do you see that? And let's just see, the example I want you to look is example 15. There is grouping. Now, this is the one actually, so it's not such an easy one because of the negative. So I want to show you there. So it's almost like common factor out of these 2 terms. and then common factor out of these two terms. So for this one, I take out 3. Okay, so where are we now? 3x. There is my common factor. 3x. I divide a. I divide -2. But now you must always be careful for a negative. So as soon as you take out, you're going to take out y, but it's negative y. Now don't forget, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. That's fine. You don't make a mistake there. But a positive divided by a negative. Okay, positive divide negative. So it's 3 signs, so just 1. It's a negative. Do you see? Where that was a what? That was a positive and it changed to a negative. And that is very important. So there was 4 terms. Now there's 2 terms. And if you focus now, you will see that this bracket is the same as this bracket. Then you take it out. And then it's 3x minus y. And again, it was 4 terms. And after I factorize it, it's just 2 terms. How can I test it? I can multiply out and then I must get that again. Okay, so this is the one I wanted you. I can just tell you the page again. I don't know if I said the page before. It's on page 102 and it's expressions, algebra, so it's chapter 3. Okay, let's go back to the question paper. Okay. I just want to make it a bit lower. There it was. So let's see. Can you see why I say, oh, be careful, be careful. So, okay, what can I take? I can take 3x. If I divide, 3y. If I divide, plus 1. But as soon as you write a negative, it's like a red robot. Please stop. You're going to make an accident if you don't stop and look for the cars. Okay, so I take out 4 and I take out z. Okay, because there's a z in both and the highest common factor is 4. Okay, so then I'm going to divide and I get this one is not your problem. This one. So negative divide the negative is a positive. Okay, it's also, if you get a negative there and there was a positive, just check if you didn't maybe miss that negative. Okay, and it could have been, and that's why. Because if there's a positive, that sign will be the same. But if there's a negative, if this is a negative, this will be a positive. And if this is a positive, then this will be a negative. And then I write it as 3y plus 1. And if I divide, now remember that divide and what is left, 3x. That divide and what is left, 4z. And that is my final answer. So it's going to be 3y plus 1, 3x minus 4z. Now again, remember, if somebody wrote 3x minus 4z and 3y plus 1, he is also 100% correct. We just look, the bracket and the inside, it's the same. The bracket and the inside, you will get also your 2 marks. Okay, make sure you know your factorization, especially as I said, if you go on in maths or even take a basic maths course someday, that will be part of mathematics. Okay, let's go to question number 6. Now, it's always nice if you read a question and you already say, oh, inversely proportional. Oh, this is chapter 1. This is numbers. I know that. Okay, it's that direct proportion and indirect proportion. Okay, so let's go to the textbook. Let's really refresh your memory on that. Okay, so here is the question. And this one will help you. And it was, and I first want to tell you where it was. It's in chapter 1, page 39, mathematics, grade 10, 11, y equals mx plus c, textbook, numbers and operations. Okay, let's start. Now, this one was indirect, I showed you, because this, but you can look just previously was direct. I also want you not to, you can look at method 1, and so this is the nice thing of a textbook. We try to include all methods, but usually I will tell you, and I wrote it here, they actually prefer that you do method 2. So, but let's start. The brightness of an object varies inversely. Inversely. Okay. As the square of the distance, okay, the distance squared, just underline, of the object from a light. Okay, are you inversely? So it's not direct, it's indirect. Inversely means indirect. Okay, so if I start, I say, and I said I want you to focus on method 2. So the brightness, that's the proportion side. As soon as they say indirect, you say 1 over. If they say direct, you will say just P. I just want to say. Then if it's direct, it will be D squared. But if it's indirect, then you say 1 over. And don't forget to square the distance. Now, in order for that proportion sign to become an equal sign, you just put a K there on top. And if it was this one, you would have just said, let's just put it there. Then you would have just put it there. But again, it's not direct, it's indirect. Now they will give you info. And with that info, so when you're going to find the value of K, so you substitute D is 12, B is 2. So B is 2, D is 12. This is the preference, so this is the method they want you to use. And I get the value of K. And then I basically just substitute. I use this one, and I substitute the value of K. Okay. And I just put it there. Okay. And then write down the equation. So that is the equation. So that was the first question. Find an equation connecting B and D. And then find the value of B when D is free. So when D is free, I use the for equation and I put 3 and I get my answer. Okay. And that's actually very, very easy. And please, this is score marks in an examination because it's very basic. Let's go back to the question paper. Okay, so let's start. It's also very important in these questions that you highlight a few things. So A is inversely proportional. Don't forget, that's a very important word, the cube of B. So not just B, the cube to the power 3. If it was cube root, then it's this. If it's cube, it's this. So please don't make mistakes with that kind of things. So, and then they give you the information. But they said find an equation connecting A and B. So let's just start. A proportional and inversely, then it's 1 and it's B 3. It's almost like in the textbooks, not difficult. Okay, there was just a square there. Then I'm going to make it an equal sign and put a K there on top. And now I'm going to find the value of K. So in the place of A, I put 3. In the place of B, I put 2. And I get K is equal, I cross multiply. Can you remember what I said? One term equals one term, cross multiply. And this will be 3 times that 2 to the power 3 is 8. And that's 24. Okay. And now, don't forget, you can almost highlight, I have to substitute it there. So therefore, A is equal to 24 B to the power of 3. So A is equal to 24 B to the power of 3. Okay. And then I'm going to use the equation. Find the value of A when B is 4. So now I'm just going to say A, and in the place of B, I'm going to put the 4. And that is going to be 24, and 4 to the power of 3 is 64. And that is 3 over 8, or 0.375. So what is the value of A? You can either say 3 over 8, or you can say 0. Anything one is correct. So where will I get my marks? I think if you come to this step where you at least there you will get a mark. If you get the 24, definitely. And if you put everything nicely correct in, you will get your mark. And there, just for the final answer. And I say again, this was a nice question. Okay, let's look at question number 7. Okay, now as soon as I read this, I see it's exponents. Do you see? I see indices. Okay. Now I think, okay, this is indices. It can be indices, but don't forget the connections between indices and logarithms. Can you remember that? And this, if I look, I say, if it was indices, I said 5, and that was, say, 25. So say, for example, it was a question like 5x equals 25. Okay, then you could have said, this is not the question, 5x and 5, 2. You remember that? And then you could have said, oh, therefore x is 2. But that's simple. That was not what it was. You see that you cannot make this 8 a base of 5. So then you know you must solve it with logs. So I'm at logs, chapter 5. Again, I'll take you first to the textbook. Okay, let's just go to the textbook. No, it's not this one. It's the previous one. It's question 7. Okay, so in the textbook, you can look. It's on page 201. Do you see? 201. And then I'm going to look at question 29. Oh, there's a few of them. Okay, but it's exponential and logarithmic equations, and this is exponential equations that we solve with logarithmic equations. Because look at this property. If you have m equals n, that is how logs work. It's an equation. You can put logs on that, take logs on that side, and take logs on that side. As long as if you put logs on this, the word, also put it on that side. And that's the principle that I'm going to follow here. So basically, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to say, okay, this is now a simple one, but I just put log on this side, log on this side. And then I use the rule. Do you know the power rule? Okay. And then I put the x in front. And then I'm just going to say, okay, so log 3, I divide log 3 and I divide log 3 and I get 3. I put logs on both sides. I take the x to the front. Okay, are you with me? So log both sides. Use the rules of logs. So it's where the x jump or the x came down. Okay. And then I basically just going to divide log 5 and press it on your calculator. And this is what I'm basically going to do now. So let's go back to the question paper. Okay. I don't know why did I go to the first page. Okay, so let's go back. Okay. So, and this is now nice. I'm just going to say, I take logs on both sides. So now remember, just put it like that. So it's going to be x plus 1 log 5 equals log 8. And now, what am I going to do? I divide this side by log 5, and I divide this side by log 5. Cancel, cancel. So I have x plus 1 is equal, okay, I'm doing it long now, really. Please don't approximate in between. I want you to go to where I'm going to say log 8 over log 5, and I subtract 1. And that's the value. That's the answer I'm looking for. So take your calculator, press log 8, divide log 5 equals, minus 1 equals. And I'm getting 3 significant figures. Okay, therefore, I'm just write to you what I'm getting. 2920, say 2, no, let's okay. 292 says 0, 3. Doesn't matter because there was a 9. But 3 significant. So 1, 2, 3, that's a 0. So x is 0.292. That is what they are looking for. Okay. Now where will you get your marks? If you take logs on both sides, because they can see, you know, you must use logs. And then if you come at least to this step where that step, and then for the final. Okay, that was not so difficult. Okay, I still, now this is indices, can you see? And as I said, I like to take you to the textbook. I still believe you must always know your basics very well, and then you can jump very high. But first, go always to your basics. So if I go to the textbook, it's indices, it's chapter 5, it's the same chapter. So I'm just going to go for that question 7b. And I just want to take you to that rules. And I don't know why, but it's almost like I know people struggle a lot with indices. But I think the more you do it, the more it will grow on you. Okay. So just remember your rules there. And all that I want to show you here is example 1. And it's actually, as I said, it's just applying that rules. So basically, if you multiply, okay, let's see if I can move it a little bit down there. If you multiply, you add. Do you see? If the bases are the same. So 6 plus 2 is 8. You keep the 3. If it's an A, you keep the A. If it's a 3, you keep the 3. And you add. Are you with me? If it's division, you subtract. So let's see if I see a division 1. Let's see if I see, this was number 1. Example 1, I don't see a division 1. It was all just multiply. So I just have to look there at the example. So 6 over 2, so it's 6 minus 2, and that's x to the power of 4. But that was so simple, the one in the question paper. I think that one will help you even. Okay, let's just go to the next. So basically, I'm first going to write just the answer and then I'll show you why. Okay, it's 9 and 7. I just want to make it a bit bigger because especially if they make the small numbers. Okay, so basically this is just going to be W, 9 minus 7, which is W2. Okay, W2. And for people who's not knowing the rules, it's just remember how many W's were there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many W's at the bottom? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you really struggle, you can go and say 1 cancel, top 1 cancel, bottom, top 1. And how many is left? 2. So really you must have a question like that correct. Okay, even by doing it on this method. Now, this one is a bit more challenging, but again, there's an example in the textbook that will help you. So let's just go to that example. It's question number 7b, the second one. Okay, and we make it again bigger. And I'm just not going to run through all. I'm just going to run through C. I think C is enough to help you. So basically, be careful when the basis is not alphabet letters. Then it is a bit more challenging, but see it as an A or a B. Okay. So the golden rule is you must go to prime factors. So can you remember prime factors? It's that, say, 8, and it's 2 can go in. Okay. 8 divided 2 is 4. 4 divided 2 is 2. 1. So it's 2 to the power of 3. Do you see there? 2 to the power of 3. Okay, and 4 the same. That's 2 to the power of 2. Exactly. So basically what I do, and then I can go, I just want to now get rid of that so that you can see. So then, and I'm even going to go bigger that you can see better, then I just multiply. Okay, and that's where I got that. Okay. The same here, 2 times 2, that's 4. But I'm doing exactly the same. When it's multiply, I add. Do you see? There's an add. And as soon as if it's division, that is now just the 4. What's standing there? I subtract. Do you see that? So the rules stays the same. And then I simplify and I get this, and then I just make it positive. So I just took it from the top to the bottom, then the sign changed from a negative to a positive, and that was my answer. If I want, I don't know if I said that, where will I find it in the textbook? Page 184, and it is in chapter 5, which is indices, logarithms, and sequences. Okay, in the part 1, the textbook. Okay, let's just go back to the question paper, and now we're going to conquer that question. We have all the knowledge to conquer it. Okay, so it's even more simple, this one. So the basis is 2. So just remember, put the in-between step. Say 2, so it's x plus 2, okay, plus, and now x minus 1. Just remember, as soon as you divide, you put a bracket. But for plus, it's fine. I'm going to do it very long, and really you don't have to do it this long. So I'm going to simplify it now to 2, and I'm going to say x plus x, what is that? 2x. 2 minus 1, what is that? 1 over 2x minus 3. And now it's division. So what am I doing now? 2, but now be careful. Be careful. Remember, subtraction, division goes to subtraction. It's like the red light. Always be careful for a red light. Put a bracket. So it's 2x minus 3. That negative must go in. And that will give me 2. Okay, and I'm again a bit long. So it's 2x plus 1 minus 2x. A negative times a negative plus 3. Okay, and that cancel out, and 3 plus 1 is 2 to the power of 4. And 2 to the power is 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. Please don't write in their line, but the answer is 16. Okay, really not so difficult. You can conquer that. Okay, and then we go to the next question. That's also very basic. It's in expressions, it's algebra, and it's find the quotient and the remainder when it's long division. We call it long division when this is divided by this. Again, I first want to take you to the textbook just to refresh your memory. I'm going to page 95 in the textbook. Let's just see, page 95 in the textbook. And I just want to show you the basics, but it's very basic as there's coming with the remainder, and I think example 8. Okay, and I just go very briefly. It's on page 95 in the mathematics textbook, part 1. Okay, here it comes. So basically, I just draw the line. So and then I start and I write. Then I take this term, and I showed you this term, divide by this term. That's what I show. And that answer I get, I write there on top. And then the thing which students forget is that you multiply with the first term and you multiply with the second term. So if I multiply, I get 50x3. And 10x squared multiplied negative 4 is negative 40x squared. And then I draw a line, and then I change the signs. So if this is positive, I like to make a circle to remind me I change it, a negative. And if it's a negative, it becomes a positive because I'm doing subtraction. That's what I'm doing. I showed you there. So then I simplify that. So it's 40 plus 10, it's 50. And then I repeat the process. So again, I will take this, divide by this. Okay, and I get again this. And then don't forget, and I'm going to clean it there so that you see what I want to show you. Don't forget that I multiply with that term and I multiply with that term. So that is going to be 50x squared, and that's going to be negative 40x. I bring that one down. And then I change the signs because I do subtraction. So negative, positive, and I get subtract, and I get 5. And I bring that one down. Again, I take this, divide this, and that's the one. And then I multiply, please. And I'm even going to show you again. Please don't forget to multiply to multiply. If there was another divider, I would have multiplied that also. And then I change the signs. Don't forget to change the signs. And that, without an x, is my remainder. Okay, That's how I do. I'm first going to do it, and then I still want to show you the short method also, especially for people going to AS level. Okay, let's just go back to the question paper. We're there, and we're going to first go the long method. Yes, let's do it. So let's start, and we draw our lines. Just not going to write so everything. Okay, now my line is not as I want it to be. Okay. Okay, so let's write in. This is inside, so it's going to be, if my pen is just correct, it's going to be 2x3 plus 3x squared minus 4x plus 5. And the divider is x plus 2. Okay. Just remember, I didn't show you the example that if there's, say it's not 3, 2, 1, 0, there's one left out, say there was not an x, then you have to say plus 0x. But there is nice examples in the textbooks. Just go there around page 95, there around. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one, divide this one, and what do I get? 2x squared. Don't forget what I showed you. Multiply. Don't like always to write now in here, but it's fine. So 2x squared, they will not even penalize you if you do that. Okay, I draw the line. Don't forget, and I'm going to put it in color. It was a positive, change to a negative. Change. I like to put my circle, because otherwise it's a negative and people make it a positive, and then they think, oh, did I? And I rechange it again. And then they change it actually back. So I prefer that. So that 2 must cancel, otherwise I did the division incorrect. This one is going to be negative 1x squared. Now, again, I take this, divide by this, and what do I get? Negative x. If you struggle, go for yourself and say here, negative x squared, divide x. Oh, that's going to be negative x, because 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, and again, I multiply, so you can already bring down, it's fine. I multiply, I get negative x squared, and I multiply, I get negative 2x, and I draw the line, and I change the signs. So this is going to be a positive, positive. That's why I don't like changing there. And now that cancel. And negative 4 plus 2, that's negative 2x. And negative 2x divide x, it's negative 2. I multiply, so I get negative 2x. Sometimes you forget to bring that one. We'll bring, just write in this line. That is going to be negative 4. Negative 2 times 2, negative. And then you can bring it down. Please just don't write it there. Then don't forget to change your signs, because it's subtraction. Plus, plus. And now 5 plus 4, that is going to be 9. That's the remainder. And then this is going to be my quotient. So it's 2x squared, that top, minus x minus 2. And that remainder is going to be 9. And that's how I do the long method. I want to take you to the short method. Okay, let's do the short method. Okay, and this is, as I said, more a preparation. If you can conquer it, excellent. But if you struggle with it, then just leave it. You don't have to do this method. It's again, I want to show you the page. It's on page 97 in the part 1 textbook. And the method which follow, we can show you here. And as I said, very briefly, and then I'm going to do it for you. Okay, so we focus on the coefficients. So it's 1, grab that sign, negative 9, negative 10. Okay, now the thing that we put that equals 0, so we actually get negative 1. Are you with me? So that is the negative coming there. That is the 1, that is the negative 9, that is the negative 10. Okay, so we just write the numbers, not the alphabet letters. Then we bring this one down. Do you see? Now the process starts. We multiply and we write it in there. So 1 times -1, and we write -1 there. Then we do the calculation. What will that be? -10. Then we multiply, and what do we get? +10. Do you see that? And then we calculate, okay? And if we calculate, what do we get? 0. So there's no remainder. And then don't forget, what do we do the last? This is no x, this is x, and if there's another one, this would have been x squared. And if there's another one, x to the power of 3. So, but just, that's the remainder, that's the constant, then x, if there's another one, x squared. Okay, and then you just fill it in. But let's go and do it. Let's go and do it with that one. Okay, so let's go, and we're going to go back to the question paper, and we're going to do it. I just want to say this, please remember, don't do both methods. Please, no. You can test it if you have time, but don't waste unnecessary time. So I'm just writing this is or. At the end, they just look. If you get the answers, they will also give you. So let's just start with that one. I'm just going to put it in another color. Okay, that is my block. Now, because, as I said, this was equal to 0. So if it's going over, this is going to be -2. So I put -2 there. Okay. Now, what is my numbers? 2, 3, -4, 5. Can you see how I grab the signs? So this is going to be 2, 3, -4, 5. If it was not going 3, 2, 1, 0, then you put a 0, just like I said, 0x if there was not an x. Okay. Then I bring down. Okay, I bring down, don't forget. So if I start, I'm just going to bring that. Sometimes you forget that process. That's actually the process that people forget, is to bring. They know the rest, but they forget to bring down first. Then they multiply and they get -4. And then they just do the calculation, so -1. And then they get 2. Calculation, -2. They multiply, and what do they get? 4. And this last one is always your remainder. That's your constant, that's your x, that is your x squared. And if you're then going to fill it in, that's your 9, and there is your quotient. I say it again, you don't have to follow that method. At the end, it's just important that you come to the quotient and that you come to the remainder. Okay, I just want to see, so for what they would have aimed for, correct process allowing 1 mistake. Okay, so I think in this question, you should have at least, they said, if you maybe, okay, I read to you what the memos say. So they will give you 2 marks if you came to that. Okay, and they will give you a mark if you come to that. Okay, that is what you get the marks for. But you will get 1 mark if you follow the correct process and you just made 1 mistake, maybe somewhere. Okay, and that's how they would have gave the marks.